Hi, today I want to talk about creativity. And I think it's a very timely subject given the current world situation, including this very conference. Everyone is having to tap into it in order to keep everything running and thriving. On a personal front, I grew up in a household with two perfectionist parents. I was never allowed to fall off the horse and get back on. Nothing I ever did was good enough. Consequently, I was never allowed to have any creative expression. Creativity and perfectionism are polar opposites. Creativity is neither perfect nor imperfect. It just is. It is a gift, an expression of our very soul to the universe. Sadly, I did not really discover my creativity until 12 years ago, when my husband and best friend heard me sing and told me that I had an amazing voice. He continually bolstered my confidence, and we began songwriting and singing together. With either of these endeavors, there is trial and error, redoing, sometimes over and over for weeks, even months. But it isn't supposed to be perfect, and it's about the journey, not the destination. It's the creative process. Long story short, before I knew it, I was on stage in rooms full of people, including the Bluebird in Nashville, Tennessee, and Eddie's Attic in Atlanta. I was having the time of my life, singing original music, being creative, getting out of my head and outside the box. It was an incredible feeling. But I have a question. Are we born creative, or is it learned? It's the old nature-nurture conundrum. NASA studied 1,600 5-year-olds and found that 98% were at the creative genius level. However, 5 years later, only 30% scored at the same level, and 10 years later, the number had dwindled to 12%. Intrigued, they then studied 280,000 adults over 25 years old and discovered that a mere 2% scored at the creative genius level. So, if creativity is unlearned, why the steep drop? Pablo Picasso said, "Every child is an artist. The problem is staying an artist when you grow up." The truth is, our inner composer, inventor, painter, or whatever is stifled by years of cramming our brains with facts and figures. Don't get me wrong, we need that type of education as well, desperately. But realistically, compliance and obedience seem to be rewarded over originality and ingenuity. But creativity is like a muscle. If you don't use it, you'll lose it.
I'm gonna make today a better day, so tomorrow there'll be less sorrow, and the world will be a better place. Be in the flow. Make a mark, but leave no scar. What once was dark, fill the void in my heart with the healing light. A better today makes a better tomorrow.
The thing is, the world needs us to be creative. The Steve Jobs, Michael Dells, and Richard Bransons are all creative geniuses. And I want to say right here that despite our associating creativity just with the arts, it certainly also pertains to business, as I said earlier. An IBM CEO study revealed that 1,500 CEOs worldwide considered creativity as the number one desirable attribute. Who knows? You could be the next Zuckerberg. Maybe you don't want to be him, but anyway, he's just one example. Music doesn't write itself, books don't write themselves, and inventions don't invent themselves. Whether it's Moby Dick, the telephone, the Mona Lisa, Beatles music, or the internet, we need out-of-the-box thinking to find cures, solve problems, and invent useful things. Had we stayed with yesterday's brain children, we would still be in horse and buggies instead of Uber, and still driving to Blockbuster for our videos rather than having Netflix at home. Without creativity, imagination, and innovation, the world simply stands still. And that's a scary thought. Creativity changes one's life on a daily basis. We are all creative, never doubt that. We just have to allow. It fuels passion, meaning, and purpose. Instead of hitting the snooze button in the morning, it causes us to spring out of bed and look forward to designing, making, building cool things. Creativity has no limits. The process forces us to expand our boundaries, and in turn, we grow. It is an incredibly joyous, invigorating, and fulfilling feeling. In a way, creativity allows us to see the world through the eyes of a child. This higher perspective keeps life perpetually fresh and new. One sees beauty and brilliance all around them, all the time, living in the moment. These are just a few of the advantages of being creative. I go into it much further and in more detail in the actual talk. So, I suggest you travel to the world of imagination. It's a beautiful place. Thank you.
With a grand design in space and time, I'm not a martyr, won't barter the gift of life for those that find softer now, not harder. Break 'em up, but leave no scar. What once was dark, fill the void in my heart with the healing light. Better today makes a better tomorrow. Grow a little smaller, stretch a little farther. Change is gonna last forever.